we got Sansa in the intro. Hi, sweetie. My beautiful girl. You want to say hi to everybody? Hi, 50 amazing facts. I'm Sansa. Well, there you go. That's one way to start a video. Get ready to learn something new. Here are 50 amazing facts to blow your mind. Philanthropist and engineer Avery Fisher was motivated to start his own company after identifying a way to save his employer $10,000 a year, but was immediately denied a $5 a week raise. I would have quit too. When Star Wars officially debuted in theaters on May 25th, 1977, George Lucas was so busy approving the film's advertising campaigns that he forgot the film opened that day. The same evening, he went out for dinner in LA with his wife and saw crowds lining up to see the movie. No big deal, it's just the biggest movie in history. Lady Gaga is the first woman in history to win an Oscar, Grammy, BAFTA, and Golden Globe in a single year. That was in 2019 for her performance in A Star Is Born. Scientists at Australia's most famous radio telescope were baffled by signal bursts coming from the direction of distant galaxies for 17 years before they eventually traced it back to someone at the facility opening the door of a microwave oven while it was running, causing interference. Sometimes the simplest explanation is the right one. The heat of the pyroclastic surge produced by the Vesuvius explosion was so great that their brains were vitrified, aka turned into glass. That was the first time that had ever been seen. Nearly 2/3 of all meteorites discovered on Earth are found in Antarctica. Apple actually had a zero-click exploit that was undetected for 4 years and largely not reported on by the mainstream media. The unknown attackers were able to achieve an unprecedented level of access by exploiting a vulnerability in an undocumented hardware feature that few, if anyone outside of Apple and chip suppliers such as ARM Holdings knew of. Wrap your head around this. Combining 50 milliliters of alcohol and 50 milliliters of water does not make 100 milliliters. Science is crazy. The current year in North Korea is 113. This is because they use the Jewish calendar, and year 1 started on the birthday of Kim Il-sung on April 15th, 1912. Yes, that's just completely sane. John Travolta was first considered for Forrest Gump but declined, opening the door for Tom Hanks. Even Bill Murray was considered. Joe Pesci was a contender for Lieutenant Dan. And get this, Dave Chappelle rejected the role for Benjamin Buford Blue, thinking that the film would flop. Oopsies! The best estimates currently available suggest that around 212,582 tons of gold have been mined throughout history, of which around 2/3 have already been mined since 1950. And since gold is virtually indestructible, this means that almost all of this metal is still around in one form or another. There's an international competition for writing obfuscated code. The contestants are judged on the aesthetic of the unreadable source code, like a Christmas tree and so on. The code still has to be compliable and run. There was a wasp which lays a single egg inside a ladybird. Once the larva emerges up to 27 days later, feasting upon the ladybird's body, it turns the ladybird into a zombie, and it guards it as the larva grows into a cocoon under the ladybird. The film Oh Brother Where Art Thou was the first feature to be entirely color corrected by digital means. Chinese Emperor Helian Bobo set up extreme limits for his workers. If an arrow could penetrate armor, the armorer would be killed. If it could not, the arrow maker would be killed. When he was building a fortress, if a wedge was able to be driven an inch into the wall wall maker, you guessed it, would be killed. How do you keep people on staff for something like that? I don't get it. There was a famous Japanese game show in which die-hard baseball fan contestants were locked individually in small rooms for an entire baseball season. If their team won, they got dinner for the evening. If their team lost, the lights would be turned out until the next win. The highest wind speeds ever recorded were from the tornado that struck Oklahoma on May 3rd, 1999. Measurements put the speed at about 301 plus or minus 20 miles per hour. In case you didn't know, that's fast. Some early Chinese munitions consisted of black powder in a bamboo tube along with a live rat. When fired towards the enemy, the flaming rats created great psychological ramifications, scaring enemy soldiers. Ha! Rats! Ha! 3% of people in the United States will have a psychotic break at some point in their lives. John Walsh, host of America's Most Wanted, became an advocate for missing children after his son Adam was abducted and unalived in 1981. His advocacy advocacy led to changes in laws and the creation of the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. His show helped capture over 1,200 fugitives. Elvis was a black belt in karate. Come on over here, let me kick your ass. I'm sorry, I'll never do that again. That was weird. When the peanut plant is pollinated, the flower loses its petals. The bare flower bud hangs from its stem and grows down towards the ground until it penetrates the soil. Once it approaches the appropriate depth, it becomes a peanut. John von Neumann worked on the first atomic bomb and the first computer, and he came up with the formulas for quantum mechanics and described genetic self-replication before the discovery of DNA. He even founded the field of game theory, among many other things. He has been called the smartest man ever. Move over, Einstein. In 1976, author Marian Engel wrote a book called Bear. Dubbed one of the most controversial books in Canadian history, this book centers around a woman who enters a relationship with a bear. Just let your mind wander on that. The first movie about the sinking of the Titanic premiered just 31 days after the event. It starred Dorothy Gibson, an actual survivor of the event, who co-wrote the script and played a fictionalized version of herself. Unfortunately, it's now lost as the last known prints were destroyed in a fire. One night in 2020, Eminem was awakened by the noise of a man named Matthew Hughes breaking into his kitchen with a brick paver. He reportedly told Eminem he was there to kill him, but M actually got him to leave the house and go into custody. He was sentenced to 524 days of time served and 5 years probation. I'm not afraid. The Mission Impossible theme is famous for its 2 long notes, followed by 2 short notes. These notes are the Morse code signals for M and I. Crazy. Devrom is an internal deodorant that eliminates the odor of poop and flatulence. I'm sorry, I don't care how magical it is, nothing's going up there. Nope. In the United States, 60 people die from walk-in freezer accidents every year. I shouldn't laugh at that. George Lazenby was offered a 7-film deal to play James Bond, but only played him once because his agent, in his infinite wisdom, convinced him that the secret agent would be archaic in the liberated 1970s. Elvis Presley was, very into feet. He had women's feet checked before he would even see them. Come here, mama, let me see them toes. In 1998, Lay's introduced fat-free Wow chips containing a fat substitute called Olestra. They were incredibly popular with $400 million in sales just in their first year. That was until the following year when sales dropped in half as Olestra caused side effects like abdominal cramping, diarrhea, and anal leakage. Kurt Cobain was wearing 3 pairs of pants when he died. Guinness already owned the trademark for a harp symbol with the soundboard on the left when the Republic of Ireland became an independent country. So, passports, currency, and the official government documents in Ireland use a harp facing the other way. A woman named Cougar Annie birthed 11 children, outlived 4 husbands, and became known for allegedly shooting and killing about 70 cougars in her lifetime. Gene Hackman was reluctant to star in Unforgiven from 1992 because his daughters were upset with the amount of violent films that he had been in. Eastwood nonetheless won him over. Bubble wrap was the result of a failed experiment to create textured wallpaper and was never intended to be protective wrapping for packaging. Jim Carrey won back-to-back acting Golden Globe Awards for The Truman Show and Man on the Moon without receiving an Oscar nomination for either of them, and he still has never been nominated for an Oscar. The only man that Al Capone ever feared was Chicago gangster Earl J. Jaime Weiss. He made several attempts on the Kingpin's life, including a 10-car drive-by. Despite his derogatory nickname, he was also a devout Catholic who despised prostitution. A 39-year-old woman named Rhoda Abbott was the only woman aboard the Titanic to survive going into the freezing water. Every other female survivor was lowered into a lifeboat, and the only woman aboard after 2:05 a.m. to survive. She also lost her 2 teenage sons in the chaos. There's an estimated 70% chance an earthquake of about M7 will hit Tokyo in the next 30 years. Retro Studios' idea for an open-world Metroid game where Samus receives rewards for captured criminals was shot down because nobody at Nintendo knew or understood what a bounty hunter was, despite labeling her as such since 1986. Samus is fine as hell, by the way. The Bell Island boom in 1978 was a mysterious and extremely extremely loud explosion that occurred in Bell Island, Canada. The blast was audible for up to 100 kilometers away, and the energy released was so powerful that the Vela satellites used by the US government to detect nuclear explosions detected the event. Gotham City is canonically located in New Jersey. I am the law. Chinstrap penguins take more than 10,000 micronaps a day so that they can stay vigilant and guard their eggs. I'm alive, I'm awake. I'm alive, I'm awake again. A lost 1976 episode of Sesame Street that was reportedly removed from syndication for being too frightening for children resurfaced online in 2019. It starred Margaret Hamilton reprising her role as the Wicked Witch of the West from The Wizard of Oz. Look for it, you'll find it. In 2016, two would-be robbers wore aluminum foil head to toe during an attempted bank robbery in Brazil because they thought that doing so would prevent the alarm's detectors from noticing them. Little voice crack, I'm leaving that in, I don't care. However, what they failed to notice was the internal security cameras capturing their every move. In 2016, an Oregon man essentially dissolved inside of a hot spring at Yellowstone National Park in Wyoming after he accidentally fell into it. Yeah, those are a little warm. Two of the tallest people alive in 1871 married, Martin Van Buren Bates and Anna Haining, the prior measuring 7 foot 9 inches, weighing 475 pounds, and the latter being 7 foot 11, 212 pounds. Humans are uniquely efficient at conserving water compared to other primates, using 30 to 50% less daily. A study published by Duke University revealed this trait, which likely helped our ancestors survive by traveling further in search of food without needing water resources nearby. And that's it. Thanks for watching. We went vertical this time. Let me know what you think in the comments. Other than that, here's the outro card. Goodbye now.